let's get into Rob Reiner. Rob Reiner is a film legend. He's created so many of the biggest hit movies out there, but he and his wife unfortunately were brutally murdered and found by their daughter. What's even worse is that it seems like their own son killed them. This story sounds like the setup of a horror film because Michelle and Rob were cornered in their home, possibly by their own son, with a knife and then stabbed to death. Director Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle Singer were found dead in their LA home on Sunday. And according to People magazine, their sources say that their own son, Nick Reiner, is the one who did it. I posted about this on TikTok and I got some tips, and it actually seems like they were found by their daughter, which sounds horrific, and then she made a phone call around 3:30 p.m. Could you imagine walking into your parents' home, probably curious to why they're not answering the phone, just to find the house covered in blood and them brutally stabbed? My heart really goes out to their entire family, and I'm so sorry for their loss. There is some mixed reporting on whether Nick had done it or not. Police say that their son, Nick, who's 32 years old, is alive and being questioned. No arrests have been made yet, but Nick has had a tumultuous relationship with his family and issues with drug abuse.
A tragic ending for a hero of Hollywood. Acclaimed director Rob Reiner and his wife found stabbed to death inside their Los Angeles home.
The Los Angeles Police Department is now conducting an investigation at this residence here on Chadbourne, and that investigation will continue over the coming days.
There are two houses the Reiner family owns across the street from each other. Rob and his wife lived in one, and a daughter with their kids lived in another. I have a bad feeling that Romy Reiner is the one who came across her parents, and I can't imagine her going across the street to go and witness this crime. I mean, did she hear something? I mean, this neighborhood is filled with really large houses. I don't know if you would be able to hear screams from one house to another.
Now, who the hell on God's green earth would want to hurt Rob Reiner and his wife? And his wife? Both?
It is interesting that not only Rob was targeted, but also his wife, Michelle, which makes it seem like this was more of a personal attack. At first, I thought it was maybe a robbery, but that's not clear. This report describes the incident as a family matter. Many different outlets are reporting that Nick Reiner is the one who is responsible for these stabbings. Some early reports mentioned Nick as missing or had left the scene before police arrived. And I was worried that maybe he was really high on drugs. He did this and then he would go and unalive himself before police came and found him, but that did not happen. It looks like they do have him in their custody. Rob, Michelle, and Nick all had a really toxic relationship, and it was fueled by Nick's drug addiction. This article from 2016 mentioned that Nick Reiner lived on the streets while battling his drug addiction, and part of me is curious to whether the drug addiction had fueled this attack, maybe revenge, because he has this animosity against his family for, I guess, letting him live on the street, even though they have so much wealth. But you guys know, substance abuse issues, they go back and forth. You really can't blame the parents for wanting to kick out Nick if he was not doing well for himself. In 2016, Nick spoke about his years-long struggle with drug addiction, which began in his early teens and left him living on the street. In 2016, in an interview with People magazine, Nick spoke about his issues with drug addiction, saying that it started in his early teens. By the time he was 15, he was in and out from the streets, and it seems like his parents started to drift away from him. They couldn't really support him or be loving parents with a son who's so sick. And even going into rehab and out of rehab wasn't fixing the main issue. There is a film that Rob and Nick worked on together. It's titled Being Charlie, which I feel like was probably the peak of their relationship because they were working on this project together. It was probably really healthy for them. Also therapeutic for Nick because he claims that he wrote the parts of the film that were his about his issues and his experiences with addiction.
Well, it started out as a television show that we wrote. And I get asked this question a lot, why would you want to put your story out there? And it was never that difficult for me to share what I struggled about. And it was never this will help someone else. It was just I have a lot of experiences that might be valuable to other people, but I just find them interesting and I would like the world to know about them. I never thought it would get this far, though.
You didn't?
No, now I have to own up to it.
This person wrote, he was homeless for years too. I wonder if he suffers from serious mental illness. So sad, and I feel bad for the other 3 kids. And my condolences go out to the Reiner family and everyone who was connected to them. And hopefully there will be justice in this case. let's get into Gypsy Rose Blanchard. So I came across this really crazy clip of Gypsy Rose Blanchard. It was actually pulled out from a FOIA request, a Freedom of Information Act request. So somebody went into Gypsy's files, they requested this information and these video clips, and we've got them. You guys know that Gypsy served time for her part in unaliving her own mother. Damn, what's the theme of today's episode? Like, children unaliving their parents. Anyways, Gypsy's trying to act brand new, like she's a brand new person. She's got her soft new branding. She's a mother. She's trying to be an influencer. At one point, she was trying to be an artist, which the art, you know what? Just keep working on it, Gypsy. I've always had some weird feelings about Gypsy Rose. I feel like she's a lot smarter than what she likes to pretend like she is. I mean, she is a criminal mastermind like her mother. These two defrauded so many charities and things like that. They would steal from stores. And there's actually this really bizarre clip that Gypsy had taken of herself talking about stealing from stores and also talking about possibly sleeping with men for money. It's just really crazy to me because she tries to play like she's innocent, she's this princess in her wheelchair, but she's really just like a cold-blooded criminal. Let's go ahead and take a look at this clip together. Watch how she describes how she would steal items from the grocery stores. She would go and put the barcodes down so that the scanners would not catch the product going by, which I don't think this is how like store security actually works, but take a look.
This way down, facing towards the floor, and go through the detectors, it won't go off. If it's this way, or this way, it will go off. But if it's facing down, that means the scanners won't detect it. That's just one tip. But a lot of these things that are for stealing requires a two-person job. And so take, for example, at Sam's Club. They have these huge buggies. So say if I was to get inside the buggy and you push the buggy and just make up a story like I'm your handicapped sister or whatever, and you just put me in the buggy because I'm small for my age.
See, like even here, she's okay with pretending that she's the handicapped sister. Almost like she knows that she's not, but she's comfortable playing the part to get what she wants.
So I could easily look 12 or 13 to make it easier. And so here we are going down the aisles, and I always like to have something put on top of me, something big like a pillow or something so the cameras won't catch what I'm doing. And I'll probably have a dress or something on. And I just take like movies, DVDs, and I just slip them under my dress, and we might buy like a soda or just some cheap item to say we bought something, and then we just there we go, got a bunch of DVDs. Let's see what else.
Not her stealing DVDs, but this clip is going to get so much worse when she talks about like trying to get money from a man, whether it is sleeping with the man or possibly hurting him. She talks about smashing a bottle on a man's head to go and steal his wallet, which doesn't sound like the sweet Gypsy that she's tried to play herself to be.
I also promised you, I made a deal with you that I would get you money. And I will stay true to that deal. There are plenty of ways to make money. I could go as far as even to go to a bar and, a guy might ask, hey, you want to with me? And I'll give you money for it. And I might say, sure, yeah. And,
Ew, I also don't understand, like, does she think she looks like she's in the same video, she's talking about appearing like 12 or 13 years old, but then also talking about going into a bar and trying to seduce a man to go and pay for you know what with Gypsy.
Go with him and then maybe him or whack him over the head with a bottle, take his wallet.
I know this is a short segment, but I needed you guys to see this clip because isn't that just god awful? I'll be doing a deeper dive into Gypsy Rose, so keep an eye out for that. Thank you for watching this clip from the Let's Get Into It podcast. To view the full episode, visit the link listed below.